And now, the award-winning Simply Youth Ministry podcast with Doug Fields and friends.
Hey! Hey everybody, it's Simply Youth Ministry podcast. Doug Fields here with Matt McGill to my right, Josh Griffin to my left, and Jana Sarte
far left.
to the far left. Who's pregnant. And when's our due date?
April 28th. I know this is like maybe my last podcast.
April 28th?
Yeah.
Wait,
That's your due date?
Yes.
Your last podcast.
You just
it's
asked
like
for
April
our
3rd.
due date, by the way.
Well,
I know,
an hour
I'm
like
just
the body of
hoping.
Christ.
This is your secret prayer.
Just kidding.
April 28th? I thought you go on your maternity leave at the end of April.
No, they are cutting me open April 28th.
Oh, wow.
They don't just cut you open, they actually take the uterus and flip it onto your stomach and sew it shut.
Ugh.
Really?
We got video of that from Mish. It's awesome.
That's priceless right there.
Maybe we could show some outtakes.
Maybe we
I've
could
got
put it
the
on
Next
eBay
to the
this
Matt
week.
McGill Sports Instructional video. Hey, speaking of
Wow.
which, on our eBay, because
Yes.
for those of you that don't know, we are starting a Help a Hurting Youth Worker Fund. Are you trying to tone me down? Yeah.
You are kind
We're
of.
all people.
We're all right here.
We're all
Doug.
right here. We got microphones.
It was true. As soon as we did
Misha
this, you
was
went,
in the
ah!
Oh.
My dead mother
Wow.
can hear you.
We can put her on eBay. What?
In our Help a Hurting Youth Worker Fund, we had our first eBay item up, which was a Simply Access. And Simply Access is a year long. You get, Andy, right? Everything they want.
Help.
This quarter just started April 1st.
This quarter just started April 1st.
All
and
the stuff
when
you need.
And I don't even know this. When you purchase Simply Access, are you purchasing for a year or for a quarter?
You go year to year.
Year to year, but
Yeah.
you get new chunks of stuff every quarter.
Exactly.
Plus some insider stuff.
Exactly.
And
Do you get
only-
old stuff too? Can you go back and
You
get?
don't get the old stuff.
So
only
you
the
get
new
now
stuff
on.
ongoing.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Can
then-
you buy the old stuff?
Yeah, it's all available on the site.
And what's the cost of that?
$2.99.
$2.99. They got that. They got 10 signed books.
Yep, 10 signed P2A books.
But not just signed, like to a specific volunteer or a parent or
Yep.
whatever. They got the Matt McGill Sports Instructional Video.
Yep.
And
Whoa.
they got More Than
They do?
Dodgeball
They do.
T-shirts.
Huh,
That's
I
impressive.
smell
I
some
still haven't
royalties
got the
coming
more-
You
on.
don't have more. Well, we should get more, Andy.
So it's not really an item that was for sale. It's like a package.
It was a package, yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And it's sold for like $350.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, $350 is what eBay went for.
Well, and now let me think about that. That wasn't really because $2.99. We gave him 10 books
Yeah.
at like $15 a book.
Matt McGill Sports Instructional Video, priceless.
Priceless. T-shirt.
$8.
Wash your car.
It's a lot of value.
Yeah, so they got actually a good deal on that
Got a
one.
great deal.
So really, we
So
lost.
somebody-
We're going to Ireland. We had
Yeah.
to ship to Ireland.
Ireland.
Wow.
That's cool.
Which
Bought
it cost about as much as it's.
$65 to ship to Ireland.
And
Do they
then
use
we-
the euros
And
there?
then we asked, and actually the $65 is going to be paid for by Simply Youth Ministry, not out of the eBay.
No, we're actually she's paying for it.
Who's she?
Addition to her.
The lady who wanted in Ireland.
Oh.
65 bucks
you,
to ship it.
You tacked on shipping?
Yeah, I put for international
It was
people
free in the
only.
US.
But
Oh.
we,
See, I told you.
Ireland.
but we wanted to.
The euro's worth so much, though.
We
It's
wanted
Yeah,
to have some
that's like
other
a buck for them.
ideas to
Yeah.
put on eBay, and we got one idea. Sent in. We got a
Oh.
bunch of email questions, but we got one eBay.
We
It was
need to
from
come
our
up with a
buddy
few
Danny
more.
Bowers. He says, my wife and I are travel agents, and we could put together a travel package. If someone
Wow.
buys it,
Oh.
the commission off it, we would give 100% to.
Oh, wow.
So the commission, that didn't seem like that great of a deal to me.
I don't know. Do people still use travel agents?
Travelocity.com.
Expedia?
Travel.yahoo.com?
Are we hurting our buddy right now?
No, why are we hurting our buddy?
I don't know.
Don't
Because
we
he's a
wanna push
travel
people
agent.
to-
My wife and I, I didn't know he was a travel agent too.
Yeah.
How much commission does a
So
travel
he-
agent
I
make?
don't know.
Apparently.
So like
pretty
you go to
sweet.
Hawaii, they'd get a $50 commission.
It's probably packages. It's not just, like you get your airlines, your
Right.
hotel, maybe a few activities.
Yeah, I like
that
Danny
kind
a
of
lot.
thing.
I'm just not
Danny's
sure
a good
that's
dude.
it.
The number one item that the people are requesting is Josh's shirt.
This one?
Right now?
Josh's shirt is what they want to see on
Right now?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's
Okay.
on. Game on.
Josh's shirt. We will identify Josh's shirt
Ah!
because there's a dot right there in the shoulder. Okay, it's a dot.
So
You
we're-
can have it.
we won't
I
be
hope
wa-
you're happy.
No, it's a small little dot.
What am I going to wear today? I'm going to...
You're fine. It's one dot.
What if... Should we autograph it by...
Like
Doug
you're
Fields?
worried about what your shirt has on it.
I know,
Whatever.
yeah. Jersey Mike subs right there. Do we want to autograph it or put a...
Autograph it. few autographs.
No, I did this.
I think
This
I've
was
got extra sensitive hearing today.
Yeah.
Everybody's killing me right now. I feel like I don't know what's happening.
Matt. What's the problem?
Actually, I wondered if you
Goodness
were even here,
gracious.
Miguel. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll put it on eBay.
All right, my ink-stained shirt will be on eBay.
And let's throw a
How
couple.
big is it they want to know?
Let's throw a couple books. How big is it?
Double
Big.
XL.
What do you
They're
think?
guessing 5X.
Double XL.
Yeah.
No! That is mean.
That's evil.
The live chat people are
The live chat are
guessing.
saying 5X.
Okay.
And what is it?
People
For,
need a bedspread?
Double X.
It is double X. Double X.
it's 2XL, yeah, and it's a beautiful shirt. I'll donate it to the cause.
Okay.
Our hurting youth worker
Hurting
cause.
youth workers.
Since
But now
somebody
should we
donated it to
all-
you, you'll donate it to somebody
Someone
else.
else. Should we all donate something? I'll give my shirt. What will you give?
I'll
and
give
so
my
on.
bleeding eardrums. One from Brazil.
That's good. That's good. Well,
Super funny.
Thank you.
yeah. I think
Okay,
that's
we'll put it on
pretty
eBay,
much
and that's
What
it.
about
All right.
questions?
What about questions?
Yeah, Matt's going.
Wait, you have to
Come
go
here.
somewhere?
No,
Matt,
I don't
all
do it.
business.
Matt
right
has
now.
a question that we're going to put up on. Matt's going to blog about it on much better than morethandodgeball.com.
Okay,
Do
what's
I have
the
a
question?
permanent link
Wait.
up yet from Josh's website?
Did you?
I linked you today.
Oh,
I'd like to have a
what's
permanent
going on?
link, I think.
Okay. Let me
It's-
put it in my moleskin. Beep boop beep boop.
It's Troy Dunham's question, and
Whoa! Oh, sorry.
Well, our eardrums just started
yeah, I'm
bleeding
sorry.
too.
What?
No, look, it
Oh,
says.
it's ringing.
Oh, please. don't
Sorry,
use my
that's
name
why
again.
I didn't want you
Oh,
to say
all right.
something. I was like,
All right.
We won't read the question.
well, now I
Well,
can't
now
post.
you go to the blog.
Yeah, we won't. We'll do another question.
We'll send an email to him.
Sorry,
why I
that's
gave
why
you
I was
these
so
names.
quick.
My name.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
yeep.
Sorry, Troy.
What's happening over here, Josh, with your
Nothing.
phone and
Nothing.
reading some
Okay.
things that are happening? And
100.
There's
people.
100?
Is this
It's up
the
to
first
100?
time we broke the 100 we've done live?
We have
We're in
100.
triple digits.
That's incredible.
oh, I
what?
thought it was fun. On Josh's blog, people are complaining because at 12 o'clock here is like 3 o'clock there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's too late in their day for them to participate live. Like,
Exactly. They're totally.
Why is
Seriously?
that? Why is that too late? in
well,
the
I
day?
don't know, but I just was thinking that is so
3
funny
o'clock
that.
I gotta get in a fist fight. At
No, it's
downtown.
siesta. Everybody takes a
They're
little
probably
nap at
going
3.
on campus and doing contact work with kids, hanging, meeting volunteers,
Ministering
probably
students.
doing youth ministry
You remember that
stuff.
I
stuff.
don't know what youth workers you're talking about.
Okay, so we'll put something on eBay. Check eBay. Andy, will we have a link to that?
What?
Josh, how many campuses do we have in our area?
I don't know. I'm new. Got a whole for a year.
I'm new.
Several. No,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
go
you
with
can
it.
count them.
Mission, Tribuco, Tesoro, Capo. Did I say El Toro?
No.
Nope.
What about the other way? I'll go with 5.
Okay. Laguna Hills.
Yeah,
Elisa
Northwood.
McGill.
Aliso, Northwood,
Yeah, we're
Irvine.
back
Lake
on.
Hills.
But see, with
Yeah.
regional
Woodbridge.
campuses, I'm counting on those reaching into the other areas.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
Mission Hills Christian.
Well, let's get to
Which only goes up to
let's
like
get to
8th
some of this
grade.
stuff. This is from Dusty
That was
Smith.
pretty good, though. That was good.
Thank you.
I'm going to
Thank
affirm
you.
you as we
You're
were
kind of
joking.
giddy today.
Well, yeah. I've
A
just had
little
good
too much
morning
sugar?
So far.
All right.
A little bit. I just
okay.
had coffee with Danny Bowers, actually.
We'll maybe have
He
to
is?
figure out a new email for you,
Yes.
and we have one. We decided.
Oh,
Andrew,
we could have edited that part out.
No, it's live.
Oh, that's right.
Andrew
100 people
Keffer,
would know.
like we've edited twice, and they've both been your mistakes. So let's keep it that way.
They were great ones, though.
This is from Andrew Keffer, and Andrew asked a nice
Really
question
close to heifer.
about their church growing, outreach, the whole bit. But he ends the question: what suggestions or ideas would you give? And I thought this would be fun for Josh to post on his website, morethandodgeball.com, and have podcast listeners chime
Yeah.
in and give ideas.
Yeah, I think
so
it's
why don't
fun.
you hang on to that one?
We'll post
Matt
it
will
this
find
afternoon.
another one for you. Dusty Smith says, I guess that the promise of having a podcast available every Friday was too good to be true.
Oh,
Saturday
What?
morning ain't bad. Remember we
man.
said if we're going to do it on Thursday, their
Gotta be up by
guarantee is
Friday.
going to be
Yeah.
up by Friday
Yep.
night. How many
Yep.
times
That's
have we done
Andy's
that?
fault.
Twice or 3 times?
I think 3 times.
Three times.
Yeah.
Here's Chris, twice or 3 times have we had it up on Friday night? 3 times.
Whoa.
Dusty
Almost a
says,
month.
just giving you a hard time. I'm sure you will blame it on Andy. Well, absolutely.
else is
Well, nobody else does. It's your
Oh,
job.
guys, all I gotta say.
Okay.
Did you see that he's from Marshall, Texas? Is that what that movie was
We Are
about?
Marshall.
We are Marshall.
One more kind of housekeeping
are.
deal. This is from Chris Burke.
Hi,
He
Chris.
says,
Another anonymous postcard.
no, that wasn't it. Where's the one? Oh.
Sorry, Chris.
This is actually kind of funny. The grooming tips, this is from Corey Dean West. The grooming tips from episode 72 were fantastic. They were timely as I'm dealing, trying to lead kids into a relationship with Christ. The lessons I took notes on, part 1, before leading a podcast, check your teeth for cilantro. Point 2,
Good, we did.
Before leading a podcast, make sure eyebrow hairs are trimmed and in order. Point 3, if you fail to do it prior, don't hesitate to stop and do it live.
And your eyebrows look delightful today, I might add.
Okay, thank you. Here, I
could
cut them
chew on
myself.
those.
No, I
You
cut
cut
them.
your eyebrows yourself?
Well, normally when I
Did
get
you-
my hair cut, I get them cut. But last time I got my hair cut, I didn't get them cut. So
I
this
don't
weekend
know.
before church,
Yeah.
I shot them all up going north like this.
Don't do that.
That's more
That
like
makes
east.
you look evil.
Well,
It
I
really is uncanny.
had to do that, and then I just went, wah, 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 just trimmed them up.
And it looks like he paid money. It's
All
done
right,
so well.
this is from Albert Alcorn. Now, Matt, do you remember last week we made a bet?
Yes. You're so excited, I could already tell that you've won.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
look at the
I knew
silly
I won
grin.
last week. It
There we
says,
go.
"Sorry, Matt, but Doug was right." I went through my outbox and found 4 emails that had been read on the
4
show.
and not 5?
Yep.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah. Well,
Like
Well,
you
this
said, it
makes
hurts.
5, but you still wah.
Well, so he just went on his email box. We don't really...
no.
No, I
Do
trust
you want to
him.
go
I'm
through
not
73
disputing it.
shows? Really?
Yeah. You
No,
lost
I
the bet
don't.
on that.
I don't
No,
either.
I lost. I lost it. I'm not going to
Say
say
it
but
again. Say it again.
Outback.
I barely lost.
Keyword
Lost.
lost. All right.
And other keyword, barely.
All right.
The only other word in the sentence? I.
Not a
Oh,
bad
God.
word. So what is it? Outback?
Yeah.
Yeah, Outback
Outback
right
lunch?
after the show was part of the conditions, I think.
No.
You want to bet on it?
All right. This is from David Baxter from Cleveland, Tennessee. He says, some of my mind has been on about the difference in churches from one side of the states to the other. Over here in the Bible Belt, most churches tend to employ.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and correct that?
Let me correct that. Employ from within the church. I guess for the convenience of being there and knowing what's going on. There are very little, though, that do desire to hire outside the church. My question
Reinforces
is,
the good old boy club.
how does Saddleback discern between hiring from within or outside? And does hiring outside work better to keep away from internal affairs?
Wow.
Huh?
Well, it depends on the position. There's 2 different philosophies. I mean, on one hand, you get new blood, new ideas, fresh eyes to see things. On the other hand, you don't have to make sure somebody gets the culture. You don't have to retrain their thinking, and a lot of times you don't know what you're getting. I mean, you can
Yeah, the
interview somebody,
unknown.
you could go to 3rd level references, and you still don't know what you're getting, until you work with somebody. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things. I don't think that, I know some big churches, like they put on their websites, we only hire from within. I think they do that mostly to
Keep people
to
from
keep
sending
people
their...
from sending their
Just
application.
deter the volume of
Yeah,
resumes.
so they just go ahead and sacrifice their integrity and lie. And, email? What?
Yeah.
That hurts a little.
Keep going.
No, not email. This is,
So,
voicemail.
so I don't think that there's a
Written voicemail.
Yeah,
Written voicemail.
voicemail.
They're called texts.
So I don't think there's a right answer. I think
It's
it
this new
depends-
thing that's
it
happening.
depends on what you're hiring for, and it depends on your current climate. I think that if you do have a situation that's really stagnant, that's really that there's no ideas, there's been no new growth, there's been nothing exciting new, then I think you got to go outside and bring somebody in and see what happens. But if you've got wild chickens running around and your ministry's out of control and what's going on, and you don't need any new ideas, then tried and true. But I think it depends on the position, depends on the situation, depends on your goals.
Don't you think it could be a both and, though, too? Like looking around the office, looking around this team, looking around our church.
Well, that's what he's saying.
That's
Depends
what I'm
on
saying.
Yeah.
depends
Yeah.
on the situation. I think we hire by association a lot, whether that's inside our church or
That's true.
outside
It's
of
not
our
what
church.
you know, it's who you know.
Kind of.
For what it's
No.
worth.
But I mean, I think we like that of having some trust built there of people who have a relationship with them of,
Yeah.
Well, I've said before, several times I think, as we've talked about this, that my philosophy is hire within. I think it's safer.
Well, we found that out with Josh.
I was going to say, glad we adopted that a little late.
No, I mean, there's obviously been exceptions. Like you were an
But you're
exception.
in.
I would
I
agree.
kind of think. Well, I mean, I kind of
Jana
feel like
was
you
in
were
from
in.
within.
I kind of feel
was,
like
he would
he's.
fall under the umbrella of an association, but we still didn't know.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
before we hired Josh and moved him from Michigan, we had 3 one-hour conversations or something like that. There was a
Exactly.
chemistry deal that has continued, and we go, okay, we didn't miss on that one. But over the years, I've just done it both ways. And
Right.
here's the deal: when you hire somebody outside, you're only finding about 10%
Yeah.
of them. When you hire somebody with inside, 90% of them.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you like the 90%,
Yeah.
there you go. Now sometimes, we're at a church where our pastor goes, okay, find the world-class person. Well, okay, we can search for a couple years and try to find somebody world-class, but even if you find somebody that has a great-looking resume, I've hired people with youth ministry degrees on the resume and wound up firing them, a year later because they look great on
Hurt my
paper,
feelings,
but
by the way.
what's that?
That really hurt my feelings, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've fired you many times. But I'm not sure. David starts out with kind of in the Bible Belt, most churches tend to employ from within the church. I would say most churches maybe that you're aware of, but I'm not sure that is
Either
a
one of
fair
those statements
sweeping.
are true.
Well, and
yeah.
if you go on, job message boards and churchstaffing.com, people are hiring people from the outside all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's definite wins and losses for each way.
Sean Penrose wrote, he says, I'm looking for material or at least some wisdom to train mentors. We have about 50% of the kids in our ministry have requested a mentor, which is very cool. This is great, but I have mentors who want some kind of help getting started. I'd
Sermon
also
on the
like to
Mount?
equip them to do this as an important ministry. Any ideas or resources that can help us as we begin this ministry? Andy, I'm going to give this to you
Okay.
because
Actually, I'm going to give it to him.
no,
Why don't you hand it to me? And I'll give it to him?
because then you would have a sense of control that I don't really want you
Oh,
to have
it's
right
a
now.
sense of facilitation.
No.
I
just
always
call
have
it servanthood.
control.
Anyway,
Do
we
you have-
have Matt and I started this series several years ago called Small Groups from Start to Finish. We just did mission trips from start to finish.
Yep.
We've got worship bands from start to finish.
Yep.
And we have one in the works, mentoring from start to finish.
And interns.
And interns
And
from
interns
start to finish.
finish.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard much about that one.
I haven't approved that one.
Yeah, exactly. We're a little concerned all of a
Who's,
sudden.
who's doing the mentoring one?
Tammy Wright.
That's
Tammy Wright.
awesome.
She's been working on it
That
for
is
actually a
awesome.
couple years, and she's the one who started and headed up the mentoring at Soundback. But Andy, because we need to get that one out because we've had several questions like this, why don't you see if you can't put this person in touch with Tammy
Okay.
and make that happen?
Doesn't
Don't you think?
doesn't Bo have a good mentor thing that we used a couple years ago? He came to student leadership and. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
he does. 220 or Sin 12 or something.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Bo
Bo
Boucher, one
Boucher's-
life
Yeah.
at a time.
No, not that, but
Saving Back Alive.
.com.
Saving Private Ryan.
That's not Spielberg's mentoring program.
One more makes 4.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I
Us
can't
Four
think of the
No
name
More?
of
Can't
it,
think
but
of
Us
either.
Four
Well, there
No
used to be one
More.
years ago. Zondervan Youth Specialties had one by Miles McPherson, and it was called One Kid at a Time. You might be
That's
able to
what I
find-
was thinking of.
You might be able to find that on Amazon. It's been out of print for years, but that's all we had to go with when Tammy started it at Saddleback. But Bo does have something on mentoring. That's really, that'd be easy to look up. Just
Yeah.
Bo Boucher's on Amazon.
Any book on friendships will also probably work.
And
We're back.
We're done.
And scene.
Tom Cochran writes from Fort Wayne, Indiana. He says, I'm currently the youth pastor in my church. However, in 2009, I will be transitioning into the senior pastor role of our church. What advice...
Should we hold a funeral?
Yeah, he's having a demotion. What advice would you give to help make the transition out of youth ministry as smooth as possible? Do you see any pitfalls that I need to be aware of since I'm not leaving the church, just transitioning into another role?
Pitfall number 1, you're going to become a senior pastor.
Yeah, and pitfall number 2, don't listen to our podcast anymore.
Yes. Oh, listen to it so you remember the good old days. Oh. Poor Poor soul. Tom.
I would say the pitfalls. I don't know. Matt would know more about the pitfalls because he's the one that's really transitioned out of youth ministry into kind of the senior pastor role, to being the future of the church. And,
Featured at every staff meeting
Every
now.
staff meeting we do is a Matt McGill.
Is Matt here? I'd like him to share a few
I like
words.
him to come up to the front and we'll just talk.
Matt, I would
awesome
really
about
like
it.
to hear what you
Matt,
think
we're thinking
about.
about doing a bronze statue in front of our church of Rick Warren, and we need one other person.
We're adding a person
Would
from
you
Mount
pose?
Rushmore.
I was so stupid when I grabbed the mic because the first thing I said.
You're talking about the
was-
staff meeting
Yeah,
now?
what you guys are talking about. So the first thing I
Which
said.
one? Which staff meeting? No, I'm
Yes.
just kidding.
I just go, oh man, I cannot stand recognition like this. But I said it like into the mic, and so then everybody started clapping more, and it just made me feel.
It was a great moment.
It was so dumb. It was,
Yeah.
You are the future of the church.
oh god.
Well, I would say, Tom, my 2 cents is instead of a pitfall is, some Bill Hybels started Willow Creek, having been a youth pastor, transitioned into senior pastors. Ray Johnson up at Bayside Covenant in Northern California, which is a booming church, was a youth pastor for many years who said that he was going to build that church and start that church based on junior high ministry, making junior high ministry the number one priority in the church. So,
I wonder if it still is.
I doubt it. But it sounded great when it first started.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't. I think they've kind of done some rotating of youth workers lately, but it's a great church.
You
but
hate it.
I think
Just kidding.
You what?
I said you hate it. Just kidding.
But I think you can be a champion of your youth worker. So because the one thing to
that's a
senior
great
pastor,
thing.
you don't want to just be looking over that person's shoulder all the time, but you do want to champion them and make them look good. And I think if more senior pastors had youth ministry experience, they'd probably have a greater awareness and understanding and sensitivity to youth workers. Yeah.
Isn't
I
there a
think you
let
need-
go factor though too? A little bit, like let somebody come in and do something different and new, and
But you can
not.
budget for them better. You can
Yeah.
staff them better. You can believe in them like no other senior pastor has.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying in
Yeah.
addition to that,
you
though,
won't.
What?
You won't. I mean,
You won't let go. Is that what you're saying?
No. You won't support them like no other senior pastor has. I mean,
Because you'll fall into the same traps that all senior pastors
it's
do.
not necessarily a trap. I mean, it's you're balancing a lot of different things, and so
And-
maybe most senior pastors were youth pastors, right? So
Many, at least.
yeah,
Yeah, but not always were people. Many of them used it as a stepping stone and
Right.
as a stopping point to get where they are.
Right, but
But
never
it's kind of
believing
like
in
when
it.
you're
Foot in the
switching
door.
channels. For me, when I'm switching channels, when I see a sports highlight, I stop.
Right.
I mean, I'm okay. What do we got there? And I'm going to pay more attention to that. And as a senior pastor, you got a lot of channels in your church, but you can give greater focus and clarity to the
Josh liked that
the youth
one.
I
ministry.
really like
media.
that one.
Well, thank
I think you got to do.
Seriously.
I think you got to do two
That was
things
really good.
to avoid some pitfalls. I think you need to clarify, just like we say, people in chapter whatever of making your first 2 years count.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
That's not right.
No, but that's
Your first 2 years in
First 2
youth
years in
ministry,
youth
chapter
ministry.
13.
Yeah.
I just combined like three things.
And the big we.
I know. I like that we.
No, I said I combined.
No, you said just
Well,
like we say in chapter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a big we. Oh yeah.
It is.
Just like we say on the podcast, about every third podcast, if you're looking for a job, you got to find out what it is they expect from you. So now that you're on the flip side and you're going to be hiring a youth worker, I think you really need to clarify what you're looking for, what you expect them to do, and how much change you're willing to tolerate. And this ties into what Jana says about the let go factor. I think you need to be ready that some things are going to suck by your standards, and you have to be ready to free somebody up to fail and to make mistakes. And I think you start getting ready for that beforehand.
Don't you think, too, that a senior pastor that was a youth pastor should also answer those common questions that a lot of youth workers have, like what is success for our youth ministry? When do I get a raise? Does attendance
Never.
matter as much as it does?
Yeah.
It seems to most senior pastors, attendance is the mark of success. Like those questions that plagued him or her as a youth worker, they should be answered when they become a senior pastor, don't you think?
Yeah, they should be. And if you want to hire a robot to implement what you've been implementing for the time that you've been in, and that's okay. That's great. I mean, robot's obviously a derogatory term, but if you want to hire somebody who's more of a maintainer, great leader, great shepherd, that's great. Do it that way. Or if you want to hire somebody who's, change, here's my fingerprint, here's my whatever. I mean, it just depends on what you want.
What you want to see happen in the future.
Yeah, you need to figure out what kind of person you want. And you know what? Maybe as you're stepping into a new role, maybe you don't want a person who's, got all the latest, greatest, ideas and stuff like that. I mean, I know that that's mortal sin to admit that you would hire somebody that would just keep doing what you're doing. But if you don't, if you're not going to be excited about change, don't hire a guy who changes things.
And if you became a senior pastor, you're probably not excited about change.
All right. Hearns is this person's name.
Did
Eugene,
they want that
maybe.
to be said?
Eugene Hearns.
Eugene.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I was going to say 64 years old. Eugene?
Me too.
Maybe it's 17. I don't know.
What's up? I listen to your show every week and even read Josh's blog. My question is...
Eugene! Buy a t-shirt! Oh, yeah!
You don't sell t-shirts on your blog.
Not yet. Next week. The thing is, I now view this show solely as marketing for my blog.
When has it ever been anything else?
Yeah, seriously.
This
That
show
is not...
made your blog, didn't it?
Oh, God.
Yes. I'd like to say great content made the blog, but it's probably this
great
show.
content certainly aided your blog.
Yeah,
There's no
kept
doubt
people
about
No,
that.
great content or just fascinating that he has so many random thoughts in a day?
That's great
So anyhow,
content.
that's more than
Fascinating.
dodgeball.com. Here's the story.
All right.
No, I was saying it is fascinating, not his stuff is fascinating.
Fascinating, ingenious, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
fine.
I do-
Groundbreaking, innovative. You can think of a lot of words.
Humble at morethandodgeball.com. My question
What's
is,
going on with
It's
this laugh?
I
what
love that
program? What program? Let me pause just for a second. I was with Rick Lawrence, who does Group Magazine, and he was talking about the podcast. He says we're going to start one. He says, we're going to do a short one, and how your guys' byline is just enough youth ministry, so you don't feel guilty for listening. Ours is going to be just enough fun to continue to listen.
We'll be the
Amazing.
judge of that.
Yeah. My question is, what program software do you think is a good one, or have you heard of one that's a good one for
MSN Spaces.
tracking kids' attendance? I used to use Youth Track. Now I'm using Envision. I'm not too pleased with either. Is there a program you guys are using or could recommend? We currently have about 300 teens in our database and have a weekly attendance of around 110, but I believe we will be growing soon and want to stay up to date.
We use software called Headcount. It's where someone walks up to the front of the room and does this and then writes it down on a legal pad.
That's funny.
That's
for
at
those that are
headcount.com.
listening, not watching, when you do this.
Yeah. This is pointing at students' heads and counting them.
Or empty chairs, because
Yeah, because
that too. Yeah.
No, we don't use any software at all. We literally head count.
Yeah,
week.
but on your blog,
No,
you
but
did a
that's
thing
not-
about attendance.
Yeah,
and
I
things
just
like that.
put up a poll yesterday about how do you track it, because
Yeah.
it's fascinating to me that we literally just head count, and that I thought there's got to be a better way.
Well, there was
No,
somebody
we
who
ha-
responded to that. Jana?
Sorry, go ahead.
And there's
No,
there's
I'm-
quite a few comments of some great suggestions. Envision being one of them that I've never heard of.
One guy said, I have people fill out cards, and I go through those cards.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is, it takes me back to my first years of youth ministry, because that's where I think I learn more how you shepherd kids, is that I would just go through my mailing list, my roster, and after a Sunday and go, check, saw him, said hi, check. Ooh, didn't then I'd circle a name.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, I'll follow up with that person. I'll give them a call, phone call, and then as it got to be big, and we developed other volunteers. But I love that idea, because this guy's talking about pretty big numbers.
Absolutely.
Most people, the average youth group attendance is like 15 or something like this. This guy's got 10 times that.
Right.
So what's going to work at 15, where you can just kind of go through cards and say, oh, I missed so-and-so, I missed so-and-so, isn't going to work at 110. And if you're going to keep growing, the reality is when he can put something into play right now at 110 kids, but when he gets up to 200, that's not going to work anymore. I mean, it just changes all the time. I think the principle for all of us is, the question is, why are you tracking kids? What do you want to do with that information?
Right.
Because we used to have Matt, remember years ago that little printout that we would get with each week, and it would be a dot next to it if they were there or not. And we had really fancy reports of kids that were there and weren't there based on what they signed in with. But we found ourselves going, we didn't do anything with that.
Remember we
No,
made those
totally did
books?
stuff with it.
Every week we made those books and you circled your name.
Yeah.
Right. You'd
That was,
walk over to
when
the
I think
table.
about that now, I think, oh my
No,
god.
we
No,
totally
they
did
were on
stuff
every
with that.
tables.
We had people
Oh,
write letters
wow.
and make
Every
phone
table.
calls, and I mean, we stopped doing it because we didn't do anything with it. But for the longest time,
Yeah. So what Jan is saying is we took on a table is anybody who had been there throughout that year, they could go and find a spiral bound deal and find their name in it, and they would just circle their name. And you would watch kids, man. They would go right to it. They'd be ticked if their name wasn't in it. It was a sense of, but it was also, that's an idea of a little bit of a larger youth group,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, type thing. We put a little asterisk by it if we
that
didn't
was one
have
of the table leaders' job was to make sure everyone signed in. And
Yeah.
Pretty cool. What do you do when that's at an entry level program? So when someone comes in, they're not in the book. It's their first
filled
time.
out a card.
There's a card in that same stack, or
And then next week we would say your name will be in this book, which was
Wow.
kind
Yeah,
of...
and if
Someone's
your
gotta-
name isn't in that book, it was like we'd
it's like the
So we-
Lamb's Book of Life almost.
Well, we would take-
so you're going to hell. Actually,
We would
sorry.
take all like 26 different books, and an awesome volunteer would go through the first one and circle names off a master list. And then that master list would be inputted into the master list actually had a bar scan next to it. Everyone had an ID number, so we just scanned those so we could tell who was there and who wasn't. And
Wow.
Yeah, not really a transferable principle.
Well,
Yeah,
and it
it
was
sounds a
like the
ton of
man
work.
hours, seriously.
Yeah.
But it's where Cindy Allen, a volunteer, would come in every Monday, and she would crank it out of mom
cool.
with one of the kids in the group. And
very
We
cool.
had accurate data. And I think the point of all of this, well, no matter what you use, is what are you going to do with the information that you've got? And and why do you want it, and what are you going to do, and how do you get other people involved, and knowing the condition of your flock.
Well, and that was what I was trying to say to you, is we actually do have a database of students. Currently, we're not using that database for counting our weekend and following up.
Right.
Currently.
Yeah, we definitely have contact information and
Right.
we know who the students are for the most part. But yeah, we're not like scanning, zapping anything. We're just counting heads.
Matt, you remember we got to the point where we said follow-up is the responsibility of small group leader.
right.
And that if you come into the entry-level program, which is our weekend, and if that's the only place where you stay, you're only in that entry-level program, Matt and I will follow up on you. I mean, we'll figure out the system. But once I've been identified with a small group, we just went, you know what, great, that's a small group leader's responsibility to follow up.
Yeah.
And it pulled some guilt off of us, feeling like we had to follow up, with
What
everybody.
we would do is we would follow up on anybody who requested information. We would give them information and write them a quick hand note. If they were in a small group and they weren't around for a while, then we wouldn't follow up on them because they were in a small group. But we even said that, are you a regular attender or an occasional attender? And so, because of divorce and all that stuff, some people only go to church twice a month, and that's very regular for them. So we even had it that if a person was an occasional attender and they missed 4 weeks in a row, we didn't write them a letter. We just figured, and I can't remember the exact numbers. I'd have to think about it for a second. But if someone said they were a regular attender, they came 3 to 4 times a month, and they came 4 weeks, then we would write them a note or give them a phone call or something like that.
Right.
So
So when someone fills out a response card that says, "Hey, I'd like to be baptized," and that you recognize that name, it's on your small group roster. That card goes to the small group leader.
not for information.
No,
if
not-
they requested information, we would send the baptism information to them with a hand note.
I just think that's interesting. What if every time a card is filled out, what if that information was also given to the small group leader? So then at Tuesday night, the small group leader could say, "Hey, they told me this weekend that you're interested in being baptized. Let's talk about what that looks like." I mean, that would be,
Yeah, in an ideal world, that's great.
oh my goodness, that would be super powerful.
Yeah.
Well, we had something similar to that where every staff meeting, you got a sheet of paper that had
every volunteer staff meeting.
at every volunteer staff meeting, every small group leader got a sheet of paper with the 5 kids in their group, what classes they've taken, what habits they've picked up, whether or not they've been baptized or not, and then it had a place for them to do attendance themselves manually.
Awesome.
And so what we do is we give everyone 2 copies of the same piece of paper, and we'd say fix one and give it back to us. This kid's out of my group, or I've added this kid, and so that way it was real quick. And
I'm
it was
keep
great.
talking right now.
Yeah.
No, well, that's
So-
a good one. That's a good one. I mean,
That's
so
awesome.
You guys ought to talk later.
Yes.
That's
awesome.
Andy, how's the live chat going?
It's going great.
How is your world of technology?
We have 100 people viewing the show, 104 right now.
Wow.
Amazing.
So we picked up 2.
Yep. And then
We probably lost 20 in game
Chris,
20.
can you hear
give or take.
Andy when he's talking? I'm always concerned about that, but I guess you can. Okay.
We should get an omnidirectional mic for that.
Inspire software for tracking systems.
What about Youth Assistant? Is that still
Inspire?
around?
Inspire, NSPIRE.com.
There's Inspire, there's Envision, there's Incarcerate.
Invigorate.
What about an omnidirectional microphone for that camera?
We had one and it echoed for some reason.
Well, because Matt kept
Interesting.
touching it.
No, what do you mean we had one?
I had one on there 3 weeks ago.
Oh, 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
you
let,
did?
me, let me pause
Okay.
and ask you guys a question. Andy says that one of the most popular shows we ever did was the Failure Show
Mm-hmm.
because it was geared for a topic.
Yes.
Oh.
As opposed to
But see, my pushback on that was everybody's going to love a failure show. I mean, because
Yeah.
you know, not feeling alone. I don't necessarily think it's a topic, but that would
Okay.
be an interesting thing that we would want response on.
Yeah.
To send in an email, because Andy's deal is like, let's pick a show like Volunteers, or pick a show where you're just doing technology, which
summer calendar.
that would be a
or
show
something.
where I would be very quiet.
Yes, Doug would be gone that week.
Andy told me last week I should Twitter,
What if he
and I
Twittered?
said,
No, it would be so. I
Is.
don't want you. I don't want you to Twitter.
It would be
No.
funny.
No.
He needs to Twitter.
It'd be funny.
He can easily be the biggest Twitter guy on the all of Twitter.
Couple hundred
Yeah,
people.
which
The biggest guy in all the Twitter land.
all the Twitterland USA.
Wow.
Twitter is
And
so-
Ireland. Even in Ireland, they have Twitter.
I'm not even sure what Twitter is like when you subscribe. It's like somebody's website, and they'll
You don't need to explain it. Everybody listening to this podcast.
Do
I'm
a
not
poll
explaining
right
it.
now.
50% we're using it, 50% we're not using it.
Twitter.
How many? Ask how many know about it.
How
or
many
know
have
what it
never
is.
heard about it?
Most had heard about it.
Okay, so I think you should Twitter too.
Well, these are people that are online, though. That's a little bit
The
different.
people that are logging into a live show.
Yeah,
will be a higher
exactly.
But if
percentage.
there's 100 people that are watching a live show, those 100 would immediately
Okay,
sign
but
up
so
for your
what's the-
Twitter.
But
What's
big
the
deal
purpose
that
of the
people know
Twitter?
that Doug went to the
Really?
bathroom.
To me, Twitter
then they're gonna
is,
send
it
all
is
these-
a life. It is a life stream. You text to Twitter what's going on in your world. Like,
Exactly.
just had a funny conversation. Here's a quote. Here's an idea. Here's a random thought. Here's a funny thing that I just heard. And then people are getting your live stream all the time.
Okay, so you guys have been trying to get me to blog for 3 years, and I
Gave
don't.
up.
Never gonna
Just
happen.
gave up.
Never gonna happen.
Just giving up, huh?
Yep. We started some without you and said, all right.
Yeah. Where I got yours started.
I like to think you're blogging through me, but maybe that's me, more than dodgeball.com.
That's funny. I am blogging through you.
Absolutely.
I live my life vicariously through you.
We actually
Isn't that
made sure that we captured Doug Fields as a Twitter name.
Okay.
So
Oh.
we have your Twitter name already.
All
Chris has already set it up.
So people go to twitter.com/DougFields.
Correct. We already have
Let me-
21 people following you.
Let me Twitter on that account.
Not a change.
Let us all
No,
Twitter
No,
on
no.
that.
So
Don't say not a
Andy,
chance.
Andy
It just
said,
seems like there's
That's
so
almost
much
a challenge.
follow up. Like people will start to have like send emails like, "Oh, tell Doug to do this," or the
I think
goodness.
Twitter should be one way though. It's you
See, yeah.
talking,
Yeah,
but you don't
have-
listen.
That's
you don't
fine.
follow,
If you
nothing.
that's better.
It's just you.
Are you
you
actually intrigued by this?
I'm a little intrigued by it.
because he's a
I
text
thought I
because
sensed
I
that
text
last.
I text like crazy.
and all you do is text to your Twitter, and it goes to.
But where Andy and I are disagreeing, he goes, "You'd have 1,000 Twitter people right away," and I said,
Right
"There's
away.
no way."
Right away.
if our,
Well, I would
well,
blog about
I
it, and
think
you'd have 3 or 4 right there.
3 or 4 people,
Yeah, sorry.
and more than dodgeball.com.
That's a good blog. No, tell the people on the show to go start subscribing to it.
Okay,
live
Andy,
right
let's
now.
do this. I'll experiment.
Okay.
not for like 3 weeks, right?
My life is a little out of control right now. You,
That's what you should be twittering.
I know. I just Andy got me
You guys
so.
are so lame. Holy smokes.
Okay, when
No,
he,
it's great.
and we didn't have time to talk about it last week, but here's what I actually thought about this on the way
Okay,
in.
here we go.
If you get 100 people,
Okay.
Okay.
When?
I don't care. When
Five.
you get 100 people, I'll begin the Twitter process. I will
Oh
experiment.
goodness.
For one
Because
week.
the transferable principle is I will experiment with anything that might be helpful or simplify ministry or help or
So if
whatever.
we get you
Yeah, it is not helpful or simplifying anybody's
Yeah,
ministry.
It's called viral marketing. That's all it is.
It's viral marketing?
Yeah, it's reinforcing the brand.
It's
That's why
called.
it
I'm
says
gonna
we
read
should do
Doug's
it.
Twitter instead of doing what I really should be doing.
So it's
So
like
we're
giving
really
crack
destroying
to a
ministry.
crack baby.
Destroying ministry, destroying your time.
We already have. You have 22 followers on Twitter. Right
Oh God!
Chris, can you blog on my blog right now
now.
about
only,
Twitter?
We're only 78 away. By the end of the show, we'll probably have close to 60.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
100, I'll start,
You'll start at 100.
and I'll experiment for 1 month.
You'll have 100
1
before
month?
the show even goes live.
This is awesome.
1 month.
Longer
1 month.
than you even stick to a diet.
I take
Jana
that
had
back.
2
Jana's
funnies.
second funniest
Thank
day.
you, thank you.
Nicely done. And if we let's just do a bet.
Okay.
Okay, and if we
Oh,
do experiment,
yes.
we'll
Uh-huh.
experiment.
Outback.
1 month. If we don't have 1,000
Outbet.
people, you owe me lunch.
Okay. At the end of April, if we don't have 1,000 people following you, I'll
You
buy
just-
you lunch.
Right, Outback.
April what? 31st? What is the last day of April?
Jana's
29th?
maternity leave.
28th.
The
That's
28th.
the
That's not the end
28th.
of April.
Well,
You're
A
cutting off.
1,000 people by a month. That's
There's-
a little unrealistic.
No, we can do it.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm just
wow.
saying, and if you do, I'll
Okay, but wait a minute. How many times do you have to Twitter a day? That needs to be a
4.
part
Well,
of it.
yeah, because
Minimum
that's
of
the whole
4.
point of Twitter.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you,
It's
only,
a
if you
live
Twitter
stream.
once a week, you're not going to get
Exactly.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 a day.
4
4
a
texts. 4 texts a day.
No,
4 text
3.
Twitters a day.
3.
I was
Why did
thinking,
some? Why? I don't even get why people
I was
want
thinking
it.
22
5.
already do.
And you haven't even done anything yet.
23, someone just signed up.
What's
I
his
don't
Twitter?
know.
I-
I'll,
yeah.
I'll text to it.
Doug
No.
Fields, or,
No,
No, set
No,
up
no,
your
no.
phone today.
No, don't
Slash
sign up.
Doug
Don't
Fields.
sign up for me,
Yeah,
Joe.
dude, shot, sign up.
No.
I'm not going to sign up.
I'm
for
going
it.
to sign up both my accounts. I only have one. Sorry.
They're
All right,
saying
let's move on.
Back to the
we
show.
now have 29 followers already.
You went up 7 like that.
3 a day.
They're saying you need at least 20 twits a day.
Twits.
Twits a day.
Twits.
How many
Could they
do you
please
do a
be
day?
called twits
Not
for
that many.
following him?
You now have 30
Probably
followers.
4.
Okay, I can't do 20 a day.
I'd
There's
probably
no
do
way.
20 is
4.
ridiculous.
No
But
way.
like,
Yeah,
Well,
20
that's
is.
5 or 6 then.
But the whole point of Twitter is
Last
multiple.
Week when you told me about it, you said 2 or 3.
Well,
That was
Well,
the
this is-
starting
was-
off
he was
soft.
drawing you
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
Now he's got
Reel
the
him
fish
in,
on the
Brazil,
line.
you
That
got
was
him.
the Web 2.0 marketing
Oh,
thing.
God. Let's go on. What are we in?
All right, 3 a day.
Yes, this is the greatest.
We're at 33 already.
Okay, Matt, I found one for much better than morethandodgeball.com.
The
this
better
is,
blog?
This is from Jacob Dunn, and
Did he want to be anonymous too?
You were really corny just now.
Well, no, I'll tell you later.
is there an easy way to tell if you're being asked to do too much?
Yes.
You are not.
Then he goes on. It's a good question. Let's
Yeah.
do that one then.
Oh, that's
Okay?
a great
I'll give it to
question
you
because
after the show.
that deals with capacity, and I would love to read your thoughts about people's capacity
Okay.
because I have.
Here's one that
right
Matt
now.
will find amusing because this goes back to when I was his youth pastor when he was in high school.
Okay.
Pastor Josh Riffle from Highland, Indiana. He says, I promise I'll make this short. What do you say to the kid that says, quote, I need financial help going to that event, but you see that he or she is
Oh,
wearing the
God.
newest Air Jordans or has the newest cell phone that you know costs at least $300. I've had this happen. I want to know how to deal with it.
Well, please reference that this did not happen to me.
It did not happen to you, but it happened to your very best friend.
It was.
Got-
I was
got-
not the perpetrator of this.
So we're going to camp, and Matt's very best friend in the world, who I love dearly, but he says I need financial aid, and this is when Air Jordans had just come out. What year did you graduate high school?
Air
91?
Jordans.
91.
Wow.
So this is late 80s,
Okay.
and he says, I need help going to camp. We get him financial aid to camp. He shows up at camp, and he's all pimped out with Air Jordans and.
Stolen. No, I'm just kidding. No, don't get.
Gut you never know. Dude.
That's
I didn't say the
awesome.
name.
He already
Yeah,
did.
you already
He
did.
said it.
Squishy.
I believe that.
Nobody paid attention to that.
That's true.
But it's funny
Because
that
you
he's now
never
a
talked to
senior
him about
pastor.
it.
Huh?
Did you ever talk to him about
I
it?
don't remember.
So,
I don't remember.
so what did you do? He was wearing Air Jordans. He was on scholarship.
Well, here's
But that
the deal.
he showed up to camp like that.
Yeah, I actually thought about
awesome.
this on Sunday because there's a kid on Cody's football team that when we pick him up, when Cody does his quarterback lessons, we'll pick him up. He's a receiver, and you pick him up in the apartments, and kind of a broken, messy family situation. And Cody's wearing his Letterman's jacket, and this kid doesn't have one. So I thought to myself, I had to just have the coach. I'll buy him one. Have the coach give it to him. And Well, this kid now has his driver's license. He shows up to Cody's quarterback lesson on Sunday, driving his mom's Mercedes.
Oh boy.
But the appearance is always
Sure.
The
Is it an
always,
old Mercedes?
Vintage, we'd like to say.
You know me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But don't you think part of that is the parent, though, too? Of like the parent says, "I don't want to give you X amount of money to go to
For
camp,"
this,
but
I'll do.
Yeah.
you know, if you want to go to church camp, especially if their kids aren't involved in
Yeah.
church
I
or
think
they're
this
not
is
involved
where
in church,
you have
and they
to, as a youth worker, you just have to do a little work to find out what their needs are, and
Well, and are you withholding funds from other kids by helping this one? That's a big important thing too.
Well, and don't you think
I think that
they
plays
could have
into
been
it.
they could have been a gift? They have no idea where those shoes came from. You're making some leaps in your logic too that they were bought by that kid or by that
Right.
family.
Yeah, you just don't want.
You don't know. Don't make assumptions. It's not fair.
yeah,
you just
but
don't want to be a smart aleck about it. You just don't want to be. You don't want to harbor it in your own heart of like, man, I'm still bitter that this kid doesn't deserve it.
And make really
You know,
sarcastic jokes later, saying,
yeah, years and years still holding on to it. No, just kidding. but I mean, I think you could say something. I mean, it's a teachable situation. I mean, it's to say now. You know, I noticed that you said you needed $50 for camp, but I think there's cell phones that are worth less than that gold-plated iPod.
oh, so
you
don't
know.
be sarcastic about it. Is that what you said?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well,
But
reality
when we
and
have
giving an answer are two different things.
No, I mean it's different between, but looking someone in the eye and making a joke, and then being indirect and going, "Oh, nice vibe."
Well, there's another
Right.
element.
That's-
the other element.
That's what I meant by
is
sarcasm.
what
Being
ev-
indirect.
What event are we talking about too? So if we're doing a trip to Disneyland, I'm not as likely to
Sure.
financial aid somebody on a trip to Disneyland. If we're doing a spiritual growth retreat to the cabins in the mountain, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a way to get you there.
when we used to do scholarship forms, we used to have a conversation with every single student who filled out a scholarship form and just said, you know, give us some information, tell us your story, let me hear
Are
it
you a
from
member?
you.
Would you be
Yeah.
willing to make payments.
The,
Do you guys
the
still use
payments, that was a
scholarship
big deal
forms?
too.
haven't encountered it yet, but we will soon. We're heading into that season, so.
Yeah.
And I know we have
You know what,
a
Jan?
little bit of budget
Do
for
either
that.
one of you have
but
access to that?
I do.
Could we post that?
Yeah,
Could we
easy.
send that to Chris or Andy and post it on the?
If somebody,
Send it to Chris.
Yeah. That'd
Awesome.
be great.
Jana might not have the latest version. She went to Crave before we
This is from
perfected it.
Chris Burke. He says, "Okay,
you can
so
send it to him.
totally
I'm just
just
kidding.
heard my call
I don't know if I can find it.
where I commented on the sound being great. Matt, that was funny that you totally scared the crap out of me. This is a few episodes ago when
When I shrieked,
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was.
he
it
says,
is so
I wasn't-
swampy in here.
I
It
wasn't
is.
Turn the air
expecting that at
conditioner on.
all.
Can you
Luckily,
Twitter?
it's just me in the office today, so no one came in to see what was going on.
That's funny. Matt scared
I
all
just
of
thought
us.
his subject title was kind of.
That's good.
Um,
You could say that.
Andy,
I
can
don't
you
want
Twitter to somebody to get the air on in here?
I like that. I don't want to. That's good.
So hot.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
It's called discernment, man.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a fiber there. This is from Greg Flanders. Really, it's an apology letter to
Mr.
Jana.
Flanders.
From New Brighton,
Calling
Pennsylvania.
her Jane.
I'm the one who,
Jana.
by mistake, called Jane.
Oh goodness!
Greg,
That is
Oh, that's
amazing.
even-
you
perfect.
dug a little deeper there. It's Jana.
You just added insult to injury.
I apologize to her, but want you all to know I knew her name, but
No,
I'm
you
terrible in spelling and typing, which makes for a fun combination. However, since my mistake has pretty much written most of Doug's jokes, the last few episodes, all I have to say is you're welcome. Well,
Well,
nice.
One, you
in
didn't-
his
you weren't-
defense, Jana's hard to spell.
but
What?
look, you know what? I read a lot of
Jana.
I read a lot of emails that
Email.
Emails.
that are spelled terribly, and I'm looking at his. There's not a single word. He's actually got pronunciation right. He's got the quotes after the exclamation mark
Oh,
there.
yeah.
He's
The only thing he had to spell in the whole email
Missing
was
an
the one
A.
who by
Jane.
mistake called
Jan.
Jane. Janet,
That's
that's
funny.
a great email.
That should probably be
funny.
You should put that
put
on the
eBay.
podcast. Why don't you sign that? We'll put it with.
Put it with this shirt.
Yeah.
Why would I sign it? Jana should sign it.
That's what I did. I
Yeah,
was
he
handing
wasn't
it to her.
really.
I'll sign it too.
But you can sign it too, Josh.
Why don't
Just
you have her
because.
sign your blog?
Hey, great idea.
Hey.
You want her to sign it right now? You put
No.
ink on
Thanks,
that shirt. you're-
Nadeem.
This is from Chuck Doobie,
Twitter that next time.
Annandale, Virginia.
Doobie? Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
That's silly.
Thanks, you guys, for wit, humor, tips, everything youth related. I've been a faithful listener since the beginning and have been able to use some of your suggestions. It didn't say U3, did I? Did I say
Thought
U3?
so. Maybe it was U3, Doug and U3.
No, it says, first of all, I want to thank Doug, Matt, Josh,
Jane,
Jana.
Jan.
Okay, sorry.
Do you want to make a bet on it?
No.
Okay.
Josh, in a recent podcast, you were talking about how people are prone to be either task or people oriented. You mentioned that you were a people person and suggested if someone was a task oriented person to focus on people. Anyhow, being more of a task oriented person myself, I could really use some concrete suggestions. Since making phone calls and our personal visits with teens, parents, and youth workers is vital in the ministry, what is a reasonable expectation each week? And how many hours do you spend each week calling in or visiting parents,
Great
teens,
question.
and youth workers?
Wish it was more.
Well, that's a great question.
Andy's an outgoing youth worker.
Yeah, outgoing youth
I'm
worker.
not
I've written
anymore.
him off.
Really?
Actually, I just brought Andy
Did you
back
sign up
into
for
the
another
fold.
year?
Well,
We're qualifying Andy now instead of an ABS or small group leader. We're qualifying him as a mentor, and he's going to continue to meet with a few dudes on a regular basis, grab lunch, do something fun, but not an every Tuesday night.
not
Dun, 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 dun.
Tom
So
and Marla's still doing it?
Yeah.
he's going to
I asked
be,
for permission to still be able to hang out with kids.
and we
That's
granted
awesome.
it as a mentor.
That's good.
So
You should, as the head of Simply Youth Ministry.
And the father of two.
It should be all
Father of two.
Are you going to whine around him?
yeah, father of four.
He's got an orphanage at his
I just
house.
think it's great Brazel's going to Saddleback again.
Amazing. Well, I would say every day you've got to contact a volunteer or a parent or a student or all of the above every single day.
Now, do you consider
So-
your blog that contact?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody out
Hey,
there.
parents, I
Submit.
have this blog.
Well-
no, I mean, I talked to a small group leader this morning. I shot a couple emails to volunteers.
What's the difference between your small group leader and volunteers? You're just saying you talk to them? Is that
Right.
what's-
I'm just
okay.
saying, just full method of communication. So,
Oh.
one called in kind of a crisis mode, 45-minute call, one person. I would just say every day. But that's, to me, that's the easy part. I need to get working on my weekend talk. I need to get working on administrative stuff where this person's saying I'm the other way.
Yeah, and I think the bigger picture of this, when we were talking about this last week or whenever it was,
Yeah.
it wasn't so much trying. I mean, this is very task-oriented person because you could tell.
Totally.
You know, give me
Give me
how
1, 2,
many.
3.
Give me,
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I think Josh was saying, I mean, Josh walks into a room, he's off the charts, people.
Much
Right.
like me.
Yeah, he's
Really-
hugging,
really the
kissing. I mean,
Hey.
he does that before he goes to food. I don't know if you noticed this or not. Last week I watched. Josh walks upstairs. There's the lunch sitting out on the table. He goes around and greets everybody before he goes to food. That is a people person.
That's a mistake on my part. I apologize for that. And
Where Matt walks into the room, who is very task-oriented with great people skills, Matt walks in the room, sees the plate of submarine sandwiches, and begins immediately to think how these could be organized better.
Half of the size
why
should be
is there
roast
no
think
beef.
mayonnaise?
about that
Where's the
about
banana
people, too.
peppers?
Yeah. No, I think what's more, I mean, to say people in task, I'd rather say extroverted. I mean, I think that there's different kinds of people.
You think so?
Yeah,
Huh?
there's
kinds of
different.
people?
There's different kinds
Really?
of people skills. There's different kinds of people.
Wait a minute.
You know.
We're all unique? This is
But
revolutionary.
part of it is learning. Part of it is learning to do your tasks with people in mind. Like
Right.
that while you're having a conversation, you're checking heart and you're stopping and relating and
it's
connecting.
what
and-
separates us from animals. You're able to subordinate needs to other needs. I mean,
Right.
sports instructional videos, I hate those. It's so embarrassing. It's against my nature. I mean, I hate doing those things. But
Which is why they're so good.
They live on.
but the reason why I do those is because I knew the kids laughed and they could hear a good message. Now it has nothing to do with people skills versus task, but it has everything to do with subordinating one, need to another need. which is what Jana's saying.
Well, in the youth ministry setting, a youth worker needs both. They just have to be able to have
Precisely.
a balance of both. You have to have good people skills. You have to be
And be able to get
relational,
stuff done.
and you need to be able to get stuff done.
Yeah.
If you lean more task oriented, which I think is different than you can be an introvert and task oriented. You can be an extrovert and be task oriented.
Who's an extrovert that's task oriented?
Me.
Ooh, this is fun.
wait
We
a
had little bit of a conundrum here.
Oh.
Here we go. The truth is about to be
Seriously?
spoken.
No. I don't know. I have to think about it that
You're
way.
an interesting combination, though, of task people.
But he's saying you have to do both, and I'm
Yeah,
saying
see,
yes. I'm saying regardless of who you are does not matter.
Who you are, your personality type is like very unique. It's well, no, I don't mean that. Mine is too. Mine's like
Your eyebrows are unique. Your
no.
Sometimes when I
personality.
just pull this little magazine out and
I
remind
didn't mean that as
myself
bad.
we're an award-winning
I've
podcast.
Why
done
does
something
everybody
right in this
assume
cruel
that was
world.
a negative comment? I don't mean that as a bad thing. I mean what I'm talking about. If there's 100 people listening to our podcast right now, your personality, I mean, who you are, is a very unique. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm very unique. Mine's like 3% of the population is whatever it is I
But
am.
That
I
high?
think you're saying you were pushing
Yeah,
it
you're
into
right.
introvert extrovert,
And you're right.
And
Maybe
I'm
that's
saying
not
I
a
think
good-
it's bigger than that. I think there are people that that lean towards task and also people that lean toward people. But you have to do both. You're always going to lean one way. Josh is obvious going to lean toward people.
Right.
Okay, but
Absolutely.
you
Or
gotta-
shiny.
Yeah.
Or shiny.
I am a fish
Yeah.
that will bite on
But
whatever
that's
shiny.
where I think that's why I think we're really similar in a lot of ways. Because you come upstairs, you're very task driven, but you come and talk to everybody in the room.
You'd get a sandwich and then talk to everybody while you're eating the sandwich.
Well, but
Well,
see, I came
think,
up the room.
less about us and more about the universal principle.
Right.
is
My
that-
point was know your default. You're going to default to tasks or to people. Make sure you do both. You got to have both.
Yeah, and the reality is you surround yourself with people who make your weaknesses seem irrelevant. The other day when Rick Warren said Doug Fields would be nothing without Matt McGill and Jana.
He was lying.
No. But I mean the reality
he
is
was-
the reality is for much of my life I've always been around people who have great strengths, and that I think part of being a leader is you affirm great strengths, and great strengths you're not intimidated by them.
Yeah,
and,
you affirm them and you let them be different.
and
Yeah.
let them succeed, and when people succeed, I mean that's the kingdom succeeds and you succeed and you move forward with it.
Then they go try and start a house church and everything falls apart.
Then they come back and are wildly successful at starting regional campuses.
That's right. And the future of the church. All right, you're gonna do this one. You're gonna blog on that.
Sure you want me to have the power? to
much
hold
better than more than dodgeball. Josh, you've got
Got
one
it.
that you're gonna get everybody's input on.
Got it.
Jana,
I'm gonna sign this one.
You're gonna sign that. That's
With my
going
real-
on eBay.
with my real name.
That's
With
going
this
on
shirt.
eBay. That shirt's going on eBay.
I'll put it on. I'll take it off today and wear my sweatshirt the rest of today.
And Matt,
Zip.
you and I aren't doing
Zip
anything.
hoodie.
Airy.
Down to here.
ugh.
No, I'm
I
right.
don't
need
have
some
anything.
chains,
I'll
though.
sign some. I'll put some books on eBay.
No, you got to put together your message for this weekend.
Yeah, I do.
How about a box from your office? Just one that's been sitting there for a long time.
A random
We
box
just,
of
like,
books
go,
from Doug's
this
office.
this box.
This box never got
Just all
unpacked.
your duplicates.
It's yours.
It would send him into like cardiac arrest, getting rid of something like that. So
I
To
might
be
need
so
it
known,
someday.
To be so known and so exposed.
In front of
You know what? If you would have
104
burned your
people.
house down as a little kid, you'd realize how to let go of things.
Yeah.
You needed that.
Yeah.
you were hardly
Is
little.
there a comment here
I was in
about
8th grade.
Yeah,
your
not
mom dying
5.
or no?
Oh, true. What?
Let go.
Okay, eBay, check eBay.
Let go.
Those of you in the Dallas area, we're going to be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
April
Yes.
18th and
So
19th.
fun.
Go
I
to
got
PDYM.
registered for that.
Go to PDYMcommunity.com.
Jana will be there with her baby.
Nope.
Not so much.
Neely going to be there?
Neely will be there. Megan will be there.
Megan
Megan
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson
Megan
doing
Hutchinson.
Life First God Heals.
on Friday. I'm
That's
doing
cool.
PDYM on Saturday.
Yes.
We're going to be in Florida, Jacksonville on May 16th, 17th. Come on out to our Student Leadership University in
Yes.
July.
Do we still
We
have
don't-
people that teach PDYM for us?
International.
Internationally?
Yeah.
Do you have some people?
Yeah, you ready?
Somebody wants me to go to Argentina. I don't know if I want to do that.
All right.
Oh.
So, well, we can ask our people.
We could start a
mentors.
regional campus and
Andy, we have our Twitter bet on.
Yep.
game
We're
on.
already at, like,
Oh.
45.
We're already at 45.
That's
Unreal.
nothing. 45.
That's doubled in the
Yeah, I
length of
can't
the
Twitter
show.
20 times a day. So
Just
Four.
5. 5 is great.
4. You
No.
just said, Andy said 4 or 5.
No. He said
Four.
5 or
Four.
6.
4.
He said 5 or
means
6.
eight to
Said,
10.
I'll take 4. That's it.
Four
All
is
done.
good.
4.
4 Twitters a day, including weekends, Saturdays, the whole
Oh,
bit.
gosh. I don't know what I'm
It's
We're
doing.
at 49 now.
All right.
Wait till. Oh, wait.
Show will be up on Friday, right? Chris, we had server problems.
It's
Yahoo went down. Our whole website went down. Andy went into a
Yahoo?
panic. We never found out about Andy's Ironman. We need to ask about
Yeah.
that next week. He ran a half marathon, biked 50 miles, 56 miles, and swam
1.2 miles.
1.2 miles.
Only
He
1.2
did that
miles?
last week and was not strong enough to make it to church.
I was not starting.
Oh.
I tried to
Or-
watch live and I could not.
Or you didn't
Yeah, the
make
stream
it down,
was down this
to
weekend too. Yeah.
you didn't make it down to Jake's house for a little
I
party?
died. I was dead.
Dude,
Oh,
I
man.
won that night.
You did.
I beat
You were
Jason
all in?
Bogue in poker. It was awesome.
That's to be celebrated.
I suck at poker. I don't even know what a flush is, and I still won.
I am too much of a Christian to gamble.
Is a flush all the same suit?
He was homeschooled.
I gamble all the time. I'm kidding. All right. Show's
The
over.
end.
We done?
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
He's not-